Ladies and gentlemen, this is the third game of the Chess World Championship. We have Gukesh, the Indian young challenger, facing Ding Liren, our reigning champion. Ding starts with 1.5 points, and Gukesh has only half a point. So let's see how this went, shall we? It started with d4, knight to f6, knight to f3, d5, and c4. So we have the Queen's Gambit, which turns into the Queen's Gambit declined by Ding, and ends up being the exchange variation, where Gukesh takes the pawn and Ding recaptures. So then we have knight to c3, c6, queen to c2, g6, and then we have h3, bishop to f5, and queen to b3. Then Ding offers an exchange of queens, which might lead to a quicker draw, but let's see if that's how it went. Gukesh attacked the bishop with g4, and here, look at the clock. After 15 minutes thinking, Ding ends up taking the queen, and after Gukesh recaptured with the pawn, he simply moved the bishop. And look at this bishop, where it went. You can see that it's attacking this pawn, but is it the right move? The engine is showing 0-0, but with the slightest advantage to Ding. So then we had bishop to f4, h5, rook to g1, pawn takes pawn, and pawn takes pawn. We then had, and now look at the time once again, we had knight to d7, and it took over half an hour for Ding to play this. So this is already not great news, but on the first game, we had a very similar Ding, and he ended up beating Gukesh with the black pieces. We had knight to b2, protecting this pawn that can no longer be captured, and we had g8 by the rook. We have g5 attacking the knight moves to h5, and Gukesh retrieves the bishop to h2. And then Ding goes back to the home square of the rook at h8. We have f3. We have knight to g7, possibly trying to reposition the knight onto a better move. And g3. Now g5. The engine shows here a small mistake, but still very much in the balance. We have e4 attacking the center, pawn takes pawn, and then knight to e6. Notice, Ding has 23 minutes. Gukesh has an hour and 11 minutes. The disparity here is huge. And so after Gukesh attacked the bishop, we see that things are not looking good. After f2, the threat is simple, takes. So what ends up happening is Ding moved to the bishop to g7, Gukesh went e2 with the knight, and then what ends up happening is one person has no bishop and one person has a bishop. So Ding ends up exchanging 2 pawns for a bishop, which proves to be not the best decision, but you know, in time trouble everything happens. So yeah, they exchange knights, and then we have knight to e5, knight to d4, rook to d8. The king gets out of this pin, and we have rook to h2. So we can see that, you know, these rooks are quite active, but in the end, one person has a bishop, the other one doesn't. We have g2 by Gukesh, and we have e6 by Ding. b3, rook to d7. Then the rook slides back, trying to, protect each other if anything happens. Have king to e7, rook to d1, and king to e8. We can see that Ding right now is in trouble. He has 1 minute 50. He doesn't really know what to do, and if you look at the footage, at the end of the game, you can see that he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have time. The position isn't looking promising. It wasn't a pleasant position. So we have bishop to g3, rook to h5, knight to f3, knight takes knight, and king takes knight. We have bishop to d4, rook to h1, and after taking this pawn and bishop to h3, we have f5, and after targeting the rook and moving, Ding lost on time. While moving this last rook, unfortunately, Ding lost on time. The engine is showing quite a significant advantage towards Gukesh. So even if he hadn't lost on time, things were not looking promising, but that's how the game ended up going. It was a tough game, and now both players are tied at 1.5 points. So far, all the deciding matches have been with Gukesh with the white pieces. Let's see how this turns out to be, shall we? Okay. Anyway, thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed, and I wish you a pleasant day. Take care.